Yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the RoadFS DetailBookie Podcast. We are 1 week out from Mobile Tech Expo, and there's been so much moving and shaking and crazy cool things happening in the industry that we had to get one of the movers and shakers on.
So there you go. The Mr. Keith Duplessie from Barjack Tools.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good.
How are you doing,
dude?
Great. It's a week away. Literally a week from today, we'll be in the middle of Education Day. And what a great show. This is, if you will, this is our Super Bowl, right? I mean, car guys, I guess SEMA, but us, this is our Super Bowl this week. So
yep, it is. So where in the world are you physically right now?
Funny story. I'm actually in Portland. I'm just helping my folks move. So I had to commandeer a room at their senior center and take over for,
there you go.
It's not real glamorous, right? You know, hey, I got the new gig and I'm helping my parents move in their senior center. So
that's all right though. That's all right. So I did have one message from Barry this morning. He said he's really worn out because he had to work with Keith all week. So
Barry, it's only going to get worse.
that's kind of the message that I gave him too. I was like, well, you better buckle up because here goes.
I'm only going at about a third speed. We're about to get going. So, really honestly, it's just a lot of infrastructure for us. We're building out what the future is. Barjack's been around a couple of years and we got a good start. And now it is time to really kind of turn it on in earnest. So, next week is a huge week for us as far as an opportunity to really kind of go show everybody where we're at and where we're headed, and I think I go back to Yoda, right? Never your mind on where you are which is where you should be. But, we're looking to what the future is. We're looking at the next 3-6 months, get to SEMA, what's going to, come out between now and then. But the reality is we got next week's our president. We got to have our mind there. And we're going to talk and a new toy that we just rolled out. So, and there's more of that to come. There's a lot of that on our table for this show.
So was that new toy, was it previewed yesterday, possibly?
It might be in your town. I don't know if I can.
I think
so. It looks cool.
That.
I want to get my hands on it and see how it feels because I mean, as you know, being in this industry for 150 years, like the rest of us, a lot of tools, it has to do with how it feels in your hand when you're using it.
It really is it's about ergonomics. It's also about wear and tear on the body, and there's some other tool brands in this industry that have done a tremendous job of really building good tools. And, this is not, from our perspective, from my perspective and our team's perspective, we're trying to build the best tool we can build and talk about the great things we're trying to do. There are other great brands in this industry. It's no different than the chemical game, and I was in that for a long time. So I can say this, nobody makes bad stuff in our industry. You just have to make product that people will connect with, and people have to want to connect with both, not just the tool or the product, but then with the brand and with the people who support the brand. And that was, we get into why I moved, what the reasonings were, but for me to step away from where I was, that was a mandatory thing. The product had to stand on its own, but then we had to be a company that stood behind our product. So,
and I know that's a big move. I mean, you have been in the product chemical space for a long time, and we've had a lot of discussions behind the scenes, and this was not an easy decision for you. It was something that you've been wrestling with. So maybe talk a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people also aren't familiar with Barjack tools like they are some of the other players. So this is going to be exciting to watch you take Barjack tools to become one of the main names in the industry.
Well, you guys got the cart before the horse. I got to do something first. So I'm going to get that done. I mean, that's our goal, right? Is to be a I won't say a preeminent brand, but to be a well-recognized brand that's well-respected. And for me, it comes back to every facet of who we are and how we operate to get there. So the little stuff's important. You guys know I have a long background in leadership, both in the industry and also the military. It's really important to me, not so much build the culture, but to build a vehicle for those that ride along with us that they can be proud of, that we can be respected for, not just because we make a great tool, but because we're honest people, because we do the right thing by our customers. We support the people who support us, and we support the industry, right? So, I learned a lot along the way from some great people, and I can't go without saying a big shout out to a good friend of mine, dear friend of mine, Bob Phillips. He had a hell of a ride the last 8.5 years, and those years building that brand up like we had was always a collaborative. It was always a team effort. We're going to do the same thing at Barjack. That's the goal. We want to attract people who want to be a part of a program like that, a culture like that. It was a tough decision. I mean, I sold on the street from 2012 until I went into the building at PNS in 2017. So, I've got, and I actually sold PNS product a little bit before I got to Texas in 2012. So I've had an affiliation with both either Bob Phillips or PNS for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And nothing but a great relationship on our part, and a ton of respect for Bob and for Dave and what they did. I always told the story about how they stepped into kind of the next generation of leading that company. And, the question was, what's the next generation of leading the company look like after Bob and Dave? And that answer was obviously ATG. And I think they're going to do great things. It's going to be a different culture. I just felt like I was ready for my next challenge, and my next challenge was stepping to the front of a brand and seeing what we could do with it. And Barry and Jackie, that's where the bar and the Jack come from. Offered me that opportunity, and then said, if you really want to play in the big leagues, there's an opportunity to be part of the ownership group here, and then it really means something, because then it's on me to take care of what we've invested in. So I'm excited for that opportunity. And honestly, guys, I wasn't looking to make a lateral move. I wanted to go to something, what's next, something that will make the rest of my hair fall out, that will, challenge me to be a better leader, a better communicator, a better manager. I hate manager, I like leader better, but better in all facets of what I was doing, and do a better job of connecting with our customers. And I like to think I did a pretty good job at some of those things, at least some of the time. But now, now it's time to really take on the bigger challenge. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of those things that the people that know you and that have worked with you know that is just kind of a core value of yours, is the leadership and just the organization of things. I mean, we've had an opportunity to work with you, on shows and products and trainings and,
software,
car shows, all kinds of stuff. And it's just, you kind of bring that element to it, that leadership and that just professionalism. And I think that's, any product needs that, but it's also very personal, right? I mean, you can give feedback in any of those situations, maybe minus the military part. You can't really give a lot of feedback, but you can give that feedback, and you take that in stride and use that to improve the products. And that's one of the things I do personally love about Bob and Dave Phillips and what they've built over the years with PNS, with your help, is just that feedback loop. I mean, probably one of the first companies that I worked with where, the main guys would take that criticism and improve the product. And so I can only imagine what, is going to happen when you're here at Barjack. So the big thing with Barjack is that now there's kind of, in the last 2 or 3 years, it's just kind of exploded in the tools. 10 years ago, there weren't a whole bunch of them out there. Now there's just tons of them out there. And I'll be excited to, like I said, get my hands on it and see what are the features and the balance and how it feels in your hand and how it does certain things. And I think that's that's kind of like any product, right? Even chemicals. I don't know of anybody that's got one chemical in their drawer and that's all they've got. So tools are the same way. You're going to put the one in your hands that feels right for that situation, you know?
Yeah, tools get to be a very personalized thing when it comes to how you work. It's kind of like a car, right? I mean,
yeah.
Trust me, I just went through the car buying experience with my wife. So there's two of us. We've been married for 20 years. We've been together, obviously longer than that. We've been through several new cars, right? This is not our first rodeo in a new car. I got in a car and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And she found every flaw in that damn car, right? And so we had to come to an accord of, first of all, it was going to be her car because I'm not giving up my F-150. I'm just not doing it. We just coded it. I can't get rid of it now. But, it was one of those things where it has to be a fit for the person who uses it every day. And there was nothing wrong with what we picked. It was a great car. I had no problem with it. But I didn't have a problem with the other 4 or 5 cars we test drove that I liked maybe a little more because of there's more space or there's other features that I liked. But at the end of the day, it was going to be her car and the one she wanted and the way she wanted it to look. So it had to be a good fit. And it's the same thing with a tool.
Yeah.
Not every tool feels great in everybody's hand. All our hands are different. We're trying to make a couple of things that are really our touchstones, which is our tools come to work every day. They need to work, right? When you pull the trigger, the tools got to work. They got to be able to take some abuse. The bottom line in our business is we still work in a shop. We still have oopses, things get knocked off of tables, whatever that would be. It's not a super clean environment. So the tool's got to be durable. It's got to work. It's got to be good quality. It cannot wear you out at the end of the day. Those were really important facets to what the tool was. But the last one was you had to be able to afford to run it. And I don't mean, it's kind of, and it's kind of like having a Ferrari. Great car. When it runs, it's unbelievable. But if it's in the shop, every other month for 3 weeks, it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work for you.
Right.
We want a tool that, can take some abuse. It's going to show up every day, going to work for you and be a solid stalwart to your arsenal. And I am with you guys. And you haven't been to my shop. Which, by the way, Squatch Q, last Saturday of July, write it down now. I don't want any vacations booked, Cedric. None of that.
Right here. We're there. Last week of July. We'll be there.
Yeah, last week of July. I know we've been trying to do this for
we're
5 years.
This is the 5th year. Yeah. So 5-year anniversary. But back to the tool conversation. It's like, I have every kind of tool in my shop. And look, I have power tools and this and that. And there's always a tool that fits for you in some situations more than it does others. And so that's why you see the variety out there. Some guys are looking for just the cheapest thing they can get because it's what they can afford. Some guys are looking for, we know them that go to the car wash, they go to the detail shop. Yeah, give me the 10-year coating. And you look at the guy and you go, okay, I get it. You got a GT3 RS. You're going to keep the car for 7.5 months. Do you really need the 10-year coating? But they want the best thing you got. And so that always applies in every market. I think we're going to be great on price and affordability. Repair program is going to be there. We're going to support the product. Education is super important to me. It's super important to Barry. We're both RITs for a reason. We really, partner in crime there is a director of training for Detail King. So, education is huge to us. It's going to be a big part of what we hang our hat on to support the tools. And I got to tell you, there's another tool brand out there with a black tool that hung their hat on that for a long time. And they've done a tremendous job and they've changed the industry. We are not going to be them. But I got to tell you, I got a ton of respect for them because of what they did. And we're going to do a lot of those same things because I don't think any of those things are wrong. So,
no,
and to the industry, just know we're not trying to copy anybody. We're going to be who we are. Our style will be our style, but there are things that great companies can agree on. And one of them is educating your customers, providing an opportunity for people to expand their horizons and offering a wide variety of tools. Now, we're a little thin on the bandwidth. We only got 3 corded tools and one cordless tool out. At the end of the year, I got to think a heavy lift is, and hopefully we'll have 3 more battery powered tools, and we'll be in the market to have some other innovative things that are not tools. So we'll get there.
Well, and I think that's the key, is that any company, I don't care what you're selling or what your services are, but if you become stagnant, that's when people start to worry. And if you've got the ability to have tools that are that you're innovating and you're bringing new products, or you're improving, or always striving to do better, I think that's the key to it. And I think that, I mean, I'm one that definitely believes that the more we've got in an industry, the more competition, if you will, the better everybody becomes. Because if you guys innovate and you come out with some new thing, other people are going to have to try to catch up to that, and it just keeps raising the industry up and up and up. And I mean, let's face it, in the last 20 years, the innovations in tools and products, chemicals, have really driven the industry to shorter time to getting the job done, less wear and tear on the body, and better results. And that's really all we can hope for in this industry.
And hopefully,
I think one more thing beyond those things, Rod, is it made it more profitable.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the innovation of coatings and the fact that you can get a paint correction done in a lot of cases in a one-step process that used to take us 3 with a rotary meant that our time and effort we got paid for in equal measure to what the value is there. And we were able to do it in a time frame in which we actually made money doing the service. And then we were able to get an item that was big enough ticket that we could be profitable. Didn't need to sell everybody that coating, but if you got one a week, it markedly changed the economics of your brand and your local company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the last thing that got added to that has been the education. And when I say education, I mean, we were able to get the industry in one place, and hello, Mobile Tech will be there next week, so show up. But we were able to get the industry in one place and get them to see that we're all pulling a rope in the same direction. We want the industry to be better. We want everybody to be more profitable. Yes, there's competition, like you said. And this isn't just the tool space. It's not the coating space. It's literally on the street, in the shop every day, right? I mean, every shop on every corner in America has an opportunity to make good revenue from these other things. But they're not the enemy if they're a block away and they're a competitive shop.
No.
Yeah.
And so I think that change is we can come together, share great ideas, share some great information. We're seeing detailers. The other thing I think we're seeing is we're seeing people now get into the business who have a business background, who have some other talents, and they're bringing those into our industry to help make it better as well. So I think all the way around, it's been, a totality of effort to change the industry, not just in a segment. Although I'm gonna high five the guys over at RoadFS. And Chip Case is still a great man, in my opinion. A guy I got to nominate for the IDA Hall of Fame. He brought education to the industry in a different way, and he hung his hat on it, and he grew a brand out of it. And I got respect for how he did that.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is if you look at, one of our I would call it it's still in the same industry. It's in auto reconditioning, but PDR, for a long time, that was kind of this smoke and mirrors, and, behind the curtain, people didn't want to expose what they did. But I think that hurt that industry to start with, because when you get out and you educate people, there's always going to be those people that think they can do it themselves, right? And then, I'll just go buy the cheapest machine and I can do it myself. That actually brings in more business. I know shops that have opened up a Saturday to show their clients how to take care of their car. And 90% of the clients go, yeah, this is great to watch. I love how you see the process working, but you're going to go ahead and keep doing it for me because I don't have the time or the energy or the skill or the passion that you do. So I think that's, as we raise the industry up, and it's funny because, this is the 25th year of Mobile Tech Expo. If you step back, those of us that have lost a lot of hair or that have white in our hair that's still here, if you step back and you look at those early years, it really was, like insanity, right? I mean, it was a ragtag bunch of guys.
I think back to 08, man.
Oh my God.
08, 09. Dude.
Just some.
Oh, you guys are newbies, man. I was at one. And I've missed a few because the government's taken me places. The last picture I put up about that event was I had hair. I actually had hair in that picture. Not much, but I had some.
Yeah.
But I remember the early days. I mean, I literally have shared the picture many times. I'll share it again because it just comes up every year. I think there were 6 or 8 of us down in Clearwater, and we were the only detail people at the show.
Yep.
Right. And we're talking me and Bud and Rennie and Prentice and oh God, I don't want to miss it. But there were a number of us there, and that was it, right? It was a PDR show when it started. It was a paint touch-up show when it started. But Kevin Halewood gave us a place to come and to be a part of and to have an influence. I mean, look, Kevin gave us a room.
Yeah.
I couldn't get certain car wash places to give us a room.
Oh no, it was insane. And when we first started doing that back in, like, the first time I went was 2007.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, and Kevin gave us a booth in the hallway. And we literally
actually submitted that as
we were literally in the hallway next to like the drill bit guy, right? But we were glad to be there because it was an event and there was a collection of people that were all of like minds that did the same thing. They worked in the same industry. And now when you look at this, where it's come from and where it's at now, I mean, you go to some of these events and it's crazy. You see people from, years and years and years ago that, you got the Bud Abrams of the world and guys that really started out before there was a real, I'm going to say, industry, when it was just a craft that people did. And I think that is something that's, as we move forward into the next 10 years, let's say, that's really where we're making it easier and more profitable for people to do the job. And we're getting them there faster. You watch some of these guys today and they can go from, a mobile guy to 3-4 employees with a brick and mortar in a couple of years. And that wouldn't happen.
Look, we go to a class, Sid and I have done, and, just looking at the last several years, we'd go do a coding class. And of course we had a tenant belief, and Sydney and I both kind of ran with that. And then when Tony was with us at PNS, he ran with it too, was you had to do some paint correction. You had to prime that paint, at least do a primer polish, something to prep the paint in order for it to be ready. And ultimately you wanted it paint corrected. We would get students where all but 1 or 2 guys in the class had never touched a tool before.
Yep.
And we can get that group of folks in a day from, here's a tool, looks like a fungo from Mars as far as they're concerned. And we can get them on the tool, comfortable with the tool, get a result that we can then coat and feel comfortable encapsulating in something that's going to last multiple years if taken care of. And I think that's a huge piece of, what's going on. So, and I think the fact that you can do that, Rotary used to take, when I would teach detailing in the dealer business back before we really had this influx of retail, dude, day 1 was prep work. Day 2 was interior. Day 3 and 4, and maybe half of day 5 was paint correction.
Yeah.
And if we were lucky, we might get 1 car half a day on the Friday to do the whole process front to back to show them we can knock a car out in 4 hours. But the reality was, Rotary took some time to develop your skill set and craft in order to be functional at it. Full game where we're at. It isn't easy. It's not, it's not simplified, but it is certainly much more, I guess it will be accelerated is the better term for what the learning curve is. And the time to overcome, some of that just gaining a skill. Now, look, there's still the knowledge that goes with understanding what you're working on. And the fact that every manufacturer seems to hate us and they make a different paint on every car, but that's a whole nother conversation. And if you're interested in that conversation, go to Bob Rassman's he's going to do one on paint and
history of paint.
I think the car manufacturers are looking at my hair, and that's what they're determining the thickness of paint. They're like, the thinner my hair gets, the thinner the paint gets on a car. But I totally understand what you're saying, because it's not too long ago that Jody and I were at a training, and I think that there were 6 or 8 trainers, and they had 3 stations, and we said, oh, we need to do rotary, and there were only 3 of us there that knew how to use a rotary.
Yeah.
And so the software guy was teaching rotary because I could, and that's one of those things where tools the innovation in tools have really made that tool a secondary thing, even though it is a very effective tool and it's absolutely necessary in certain situations.
Yeah. So it's still one of my favorite tools to use. The challenge with rotary really becomes I used to say it becomes a big scary monster when it shouldn't reputationally. It's
right.
That if you're willing to take a panel, and I always recommend this to somebody who's new with it, get a panel. Don't work on a live car. It's kind of like surgery. Don't work on a live patient when we can use a cadaver to start figuring out where the anatomy is. But go use it. It's not that hard to pick up, especially if you're using good technique with a polishing tool as it is. And it's an extremely effective tool for a lot of fast defect removal. And you can do some cool things with it. So I still miss my rotary time, but the industry has moved forward with some other cool stuff. And, one of those is that kind of hybrid feeling tool, which is a forced action tool. So I know a lot of old school detailers who they gravitate to that tool because it reminds them of a rotary, but it gives them a DA effect. And we might have a toy or two coming into town that we could show.
I was gonna say what's in store for Mobile Tech Expo.
So we have a booth. We got a 10 by 20 booth at Mobile Tech Expo for Barjack. We're kind of on the same corner of the space as SB3 would be, because we're all kind of affiliated. We're cousins, if you will. We're going to have some cars to play with. We're going to have the tool line up there. So the rotary will be there. Come show us how it's done. We'll have our 15 and 21 millimeter corded tools there. We will have the new 3-inch what we call the Raven 312. That's a 3-inch tool with a 12 millimeter throw.
12
millimeter throw.
There you go. And then we may or may not have in hand by then our corded forced action tool. And that's a new body design. And I'm excited to see that tool come in. It's also going to have a detachable cord off the tail end of the tool. So
nice.
And then we get into what are we doing next? Our plate's full with ideas, and that's a good place to be. Now we've got to execute, and then a little bit of that is on me. A lot of that's on the factory team to produce stuff once we decide what we're going to do. But we're excited for it. I think we got a big year ahead. We have a lot to do, and we're not going to be able to get everywhere, but we are. We're excited about it. We're building out our distributor network. That's a big piece that we want to get done this year. Get our tools out there and get them to the masses.
So we will be swinging by the Barjack booth. We'll do some podcasts. For those of you that can't make it to Mobile Tech Expo, like in years past, send us any requests that you have, because we're literally Jody and I have 3 booths this year, but we have other people working the RoadFS and the DetailBookie booth so that we can cruise around and do stuff. So if you have something specific you want to see,
please
like
send
the
us a
Barjack
message.
tools, send us a message. We'll go hit them up. We'll do some live stuff. We'll do some live demos. We'll get some more insight with the actual tools in our hand. The one thing I noticed about the 12 millimeter, what you're calling the Raven, is it seems to be fairly quiet. Was that just me hearing things, or was it really that quiet?
Yeah, we're going to release a video here probably shortly. Barry and I got to kind of decide how much we want to show, but Barry has basically and when we're going to do things going forward, as we're going to do them as we've done them in the past, we're going to bring the tool in, we're going to try and break it. And that's one of my favorite things that I always like to say, let's go out in the shop and break stuff. So we're going to try and, test the tool to its limit. But you'll hear just in that video, the difference in both noise and, if you will, motor noise and also mechanical noise, because there's 2 pieces to that come into play there. And what the finished product was. So part of that was we didn't like the way the battery inserted, so we made some adjustments there in development. We wanted to quiet the tool down. We needed a little bit more balance to it, which kind of takes out some of the mechanical noise. And so it's a very quiet tool. No tool is going to be perfectly silent, but it's a very quiet tool. The thing we're excited about is we have a 5 amp hour battery with it. So the tools that you see that some of our friends may have in their hands in the next few days. They'll have a 5 amp hour and a 2.5 amp hour battery. But when we roll out March 1st, the full production run, they'll all have a 5 amp hour battery.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And that's, one of those things about mechanical stuff. And I you and I'll have some time to geek out later on about this when we're at MTA, I'm sure. But one of the things that I think if you're in automotive, straight cut gears are noisy. Angle cut gears are quieter. So there's a balance between the power and the silence that all of these tool manufacturers have to go with. So a lot of people ask that question, well, why doesn't everybody go with silent? Well, straight cut gears, you get more torque from the tool, but you get, it's noisier. So there's a real balance there at how you cut those gears and how those gears are put together. It's the same with an engine. Timing gears that are straight cut are extremely noisy, but they're extremely well built and they're good. And when you have some angle cut gears, they're quieter, but they don't give you quite the torque that you want. And out of a tool, we want a lot of torque. People have described
also,
it as,
then you go into
horsepower.
Yeah, square cut gears tend to wear more, so you have more filings, more fine particulate, and so then your durability questions there. But the square cut gears give you a lot more torque, a lot more bite. Now that's great if you're opening a lock door on a dam. You may not need that when you start doing an angle cut or a rounded cut gear. But then with those gears, you have the potential for more slippage, and when there's some laxity in that joint. For whatever reason, because of bearing wear, et cetera, then you have the opportunity for that tool to not perform as optimally as it could. So there's a lot that goes into that, and what you make the gears out of also makes a difference, right? So how they wear against each other, it's a big part of the geared tools. Now, the nice thing with the orbital tools is, for the most part, they're kind of a direct drive single gear connection. Yeah. They just have an offset, but then you get into balance. That's where, tools that are well balanced really wear and tear less on the body, and the tools that run smoother. So a higher bearing count is often preferred on a rotary, just because you get a smoother, more efficient, quieter tool. You also get a little more expense involved in building that. But the wear and tear on the detailer is, this used to be a thing where you did it if you couldn't get another job, in the dealer market back in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah. Now it's really become a vocation and an avocation for a lot of folks.
Exactly.
And that means we need to build a tool that they can, in 35 years, still be using that tool, because they don't have carpal tunnel. They don't have all the other issues that come with overuse from a tool that beats the heck out of you. I'll tone down my language. So,
well, that's the thing, is I've always wanted to, and I still have in my shop hanging on the wall a Black & Decker rotary that has a metal body. You know what I'm talking about.
Heavy.
But it's not just heavy, but I would love it in a training to turn that on and have somebody hold that, and then turn on one of the newer generation of tools and just imagine holding this thing all day long versus holding this one. The newer tools are all smoother. They all have less vibration. They all wear and tear less. And the old rotaries, they're constantly pulling on your body. You're fighting against it. And I think that's one of the reasons that the rotary kind of fell out of favor, is when you get a DA or a gear driven in your hands, you're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can literally do this with one hand if I need to. So those are the kind of things I love hearing about. I know that everybody doesn't like to nerd out on tools and stuff, but those of us that do, that exciting part is, what are the gears made out of? Do they have brushes? Is it brushless? All that kind of stuff. So I will be very excited to see where you guys go over the next couple of years.
Yeah, me too.
And, yeah.
I just got out of here, but I hope we're going somewhere good. And hope isn't a plan, and we have a plan. We're in growth mode. I just had a conversation.
I know you got to bounce, so looks like
I got about 5 minutes and then I'll be good.
Okay. I just wanted
we better hurry. If we don't hurry, they're going to be bringing in some Jello and some little cookies and stuff
in the room, but
they're going to think you're part of the place.
And so one of the things for us on our plan is to really be in growth mode, but not grow to a point that we can't service our customers. It's really important to us to turn around on order times and that kind of stuff. So the service part is built into the conversation for us. It's not lost on us that's, I was joking with Barry the other day. So, you know what our best ability has to be? Availability. Our tools have to, and that's two-phase, right? The tool has to work when you have it, and you have to be able to get it when you want it. And so half of that is on us in the operations side to ship a tool in a timely manner. But the other half of that is on us to build a tool that works when you pull the trigger.
Yep. So where is your service? Are you going to have a service department dedicated in North America?
We do. Yeah, we do. It's in Lebanon, PA. So it's already up and set. We have a little bit of a hybrid model. There's an hourly bench rate plus parts and materials. We have not announced it yet, and I will do that probably after Mobile Tech. But there will be a cap on the max that the tool repair would be. But you send us the tool, we'll fix it, we'll send it back to you.
Nice.
And that cost will be well within, we estimate under a third the price of the total tool. So,
well,
again,
that's important. I think that's really important for tools.
Off the top wing of Air Force One, you're on your own. But
right. But I think that's part of the gig, right? I mean, it's like you can go to Harbor Freight and buy tools. You have the lifetime warranty, but after about 6 times, you get sick of replacing the lifetime warranty. So you need somebody that you can say, hey, I use this tool 8 hours a day. We got a shop with 3 guys. They're constantly banging it around and using it. Let's get it in, get it out, get it back, and get it back in production. That's the key to any kind of a service department, is getting that tool back in production and getting it back to being profitable.
Yeah. And, again, to me, that's the important part, right? Is it's customer buys a tool. We have to look at it from the perspective of it may be their first tool and it may be their only tool. And so we want the tool to really work for the customer, want it to be available to them. We want it to be affordable, right? I used to joke with our distributors when I was at P&S, I'd say, I don't want to bankrupt my distributors into doing business with us. And what that meant is I didn't want to write you an opening order that you just go, this is a big investment, and I got to turn this stuff or I'm in a pickle. So again, our distributor program is really affordable. Our minimum order quantities are reasonable. The goal for us is to make the tool available and accessible to everybody out there that wants to buy one. You can buy them on the website now, so that they're available now.
Yeah.
So
go out to the website. Go out to the website, barjacktools.com. Keith at KeithBarjackTools.com. It's Keith Barjack Tool. Keith at
get my own website now. KeithBarjackTools.com.
So, and again, if you're going to be at Mobile Tech Expo, you're going to want to stop by. You're going to see live demos. There's going to be hoods and trunks and the back of my head and all kinds of stuff to polish. And again, if you want us to stop by other booths and take a look at other stuff, we will, but we'll for sure be stopping by the Barjack booth. Looking forward to seeing you. We haven't seen you in quite a while.
Dude.
And
then get together. So
it's going to be fun. This is 25 years. There's a couple of really special announcements at Mobile Tech that I'm having a hard time not saying already. But you're going to want to be there. Jody and I are emceeing, and actually we're asked to kick off the entire Mobile Tech Expo
8:45
on Thursday morning. We are going to be live kicking it off. And then you got Education Day, which there is so much more education.
So many opportunities.
And then are you guys doing Education Day?
Yeah, I'm actually myself, and you'll love this, the tool company people. Myself and Robin are the IDA room hosts, so we'll be introducing everybody. So looks like we're up against time for me, guys. But so check us out. I'll be there for Education Day, and then we'll be on the show floor. I will have a special guest in the booth with us, just visiting. So you guys need to make sure you find me sometime Friday, because you'll want to meet this gentleman.
Yes,
nice.
we
will be there.
And you want to tap into the IDA award ceremony.
Oh, you definitely.
We have something really
There's
fun
a lot
planned.
of fun stuff planned for that.
You can blame Keith, but it is leveling up. It's going to be super epic.
It's probably my fault, I'm sure. And I will say about the IDA award ceremony, I do have a special jacket picked out for this year.
Good.
Well,
we have 3 extremely special jackets.
You're going to love what we've done.
I'm terrified by that, guys.
Now we stepped up to that. So we Keith, love having you on. We love having you around. always a friend of the show and us personally.
And we will
And
check
we will
you
see
next
you guys
week.
next week at Mobile Tech Expo.
See ya.
ya.
See you guys.